Hey, hi. It's me, Lisa Concepcion with Love Quest Coaching. Today I am talking to you guys and girls about procrastination. Why do you procrastinate? And what does it mean you need for yourself? So I'm going to unpack some stuff about procrastination. It's something we all can relate to. We all do it in some form or another. And it comes up often with a lot of my clients. So I wanted to come on and talk about it. And I was researching procrastination for a client. And I came across this 2019 article in the New York Times. And in it had a lot of interesting information that I wanted to share. And then I also wanted to add some commentary, some of my expertise, some of my take on what the information was that was being shared. So let's dive on into the article. It starts off with why you procrastinate, and it has nothing to do with self-control. So all you people thinking that, oh, procrastination is because I don't have discipline and I have no self-control, doesn't have to do with that, and it doesn't have to do with laziness either. So let's dive in and see what it's about. So this article was written March 25th, 2019 in the New York Times. And basically it starts out by saying, like, procrastination is the thing where you have something to do, right? Like you have to write a proposal, or you're working from home, or you have something to do, like you have to do this thing. And then all of a sudden you walk into the kitchen and you get this urge to like rearrange the spoon drawer, or go through that junk drawer because it's been like a mess, or put the plastics in order. And you're like, okay, I'm just doing that. So that's a simple example of procrastination. Another one is, and again, I coach a lot of type A professionals who are super go-getters. They are, oftentimes business owners. They have careers, and procrastination is definitely a thing that comes up in my coaching practice when I'm working with my clients. So you guys are probably sitting there like, wait a minute, I thought Lisa was a love life coach. Like, what does that have to do with procrastination? Like, what is procrastination and love life and whatever? So let me just be really clear that my certification is in life coaching. I just chose the niche of dating and relationships just to have a focal point. And it is certainly something that people come to me for: heartbreaks, divorces, breakups, struggles with trying to find the right person, that sort of thing. But when we are coaching, the number one thing we need to do when we are trying to put our relationships in order, trying to find that special person, or trying to save the relationship that we have, is we have to be loving and kind to ourselves first. We have to first understand what is it in us that is creating this strife or this struggle that we're seeing in our lives. So oftentimes when I start that process of digging deeper and peeling back the onion layers, accompanying my clients in doing that, going and pulling back the layers, we see that there are certain things that they do that are self-sabotaging. Many times procrastination is a thing because, again, these people are typically type A personalities. They are go-getters. They are into their businesses. They are oftentimes working from home now these days with a climate that we're in. Everybody's working from home. Very rarely now that we see people not working from home. And so, this is a common thing that comes out. And so I often coach around it. So this was what happened with this guy that I'm coaching. He's often talking to me about how he knows he has something that he wants to do. He needs to get this done. And it could be anything from going for a run in the morning to working on some legal documents that he has to do for a case, or whatever important things that happen. And then he finds himself procrastinating. So I wanted to do research on his behalf because I wanted to just, put together a packet of information for him like I do with my clients. I basically do a session with them, and then I put together a customized packet of information and some exercises and journaling and different things that they can do as homework to move them ahead. So that said, I find this article about procrastination, and I said, oh wow, I'm gonna do this with the quarantini. Cheers tonight. Delicious. So It says, after all, alphabetizing requires focus and effort. So these are the people that like alphabetize things and they like get things in order as a way of procrastinating the thing that they need to do. It's not like you're hanging out with friends or watching Netflix when you're procrastinating. You're cleaning. You might clean, you might do laundry, you might do something that, can actually benefit you. If procrastination isn't about laziness, then really what is it about? So this is really neat. They go into the word procrastination, and it says that it's derived from the Latin verb procrastinate, to put off until tomorrow. But it's more than just voluntary delay. Procrastination is also derived from the ancient Greek word, akrasia, doing something against our better judgment. That's the piece. It's doing something against our better judgment. So according to Dr. Piers Steele, a professor of motivational psychology at the University of Calgary and the author of Procrastination Equation, How to Stop Putting Things Off and Start Getting Stuff Done, he says flat out, procrastination is self-harm. And I totally agree with that. It is definitely an indicator that your self-love is not on point, and it's actually self-harm. And I go further in saying that when we procrastinate, it is a signal that we are not in control, but our wounded inner selves, our egos, our inner children are running the show when it comes to this particular task. There's some belief going on of inadequacy, of I don't think I'm worthy of it, that gets in the way of us actually doing the thing that we need to do. Because our adult selves, right? We know that the thing that we want to do, the thing that we need to do is going to help us. It's necessary. We need to do it. But there's something within us that leads us to procrastination. And so that's the piece and that's the thing that we need to confront with love and kindness and heal. I'm going to get deeper into that as we go. So they say that, like I just said, self-awareness is the key part of why procrastination makes us feel like crap. Because we become aware that we're procrastinating and then we shit talk ourselves for procrastinating. So you end up in this cycle of like a chain of pain of self, just criticism, awful, like you're being awful to yourself. Judgment, just not good. So this is why they say Dr. Fushia Sirois, professor of psychology at the University of Sheffield, she says, this is why we say that procrastination is really irrational. It doesn't make sense to do something that you know is going to have negative consequences. She also adds that people engage in this irrational cycle of chronic procrastination because of an inability to manage negative moods around a specific task. So we procrastinate because of bad moods, and not only bad moods, our mood, our attitude about the very thing that we need to get done. So they say that procrastination isn't a unique character flaw or a mysterious curse in your ability to manage time. It has nothing to do with that, time management. I need to manage my time. I get this all the time in my coaching practice. I don't know. Maybe Lisa, you can help me manage my time. And I'm just like, all right, well, what's the thing that you need to get done? And they're like, well, I had this project and like I've been wanting to do this thing with my business and I haven't done it. And every time I try to do it, I can never get it done. I end up doing 50 things else. And I'm like, well, that's procrastination. That does nothing to do with time management. I can tell you to delegate an hour a day to working on this thing and you're not going to do it. You have to get around the hang up, the issue, the deeper rooted conversation that's happening subconsciously that's preventing you from moving forward on this task. So that's what this New York Times article is basically saying. Procrastination is an emotion regulation problem. It's not a time management problem. Tim Seikel, professor of psychology and a member of the Procrastination Research Group at Carleton University in Ottawa, says that. It is not. It is an emotional problem. And people who work with me understand very quickly the emotional scale. I give it to them. I help them have it in their phones so that at any time, moment to moment, they can go on their phone and they can see the emotional scale and they can ascertain what emotional default are they typically at. Are they defaulting with frustration? Are they defaulting at hopelessness? Are they defaulting at anger, joy, optimism, hopefulness? So different emotions along the scale will tell us how we are predominantly being when it comes to a certain topic, a certain thing that we have to get done in our life. Thank you so much. I'm hopeful that you guys are loving this. This is fascinating stuff. I love this. Okay, so now that you guys are off the hook, that you don't have a time management problem, you have an emotional discord, an emotional misalignment, right? So now we know what it is, right? You're procrastinating because you have issues emotionally with what it is that you need to get done. Okay, so let's continue. In a 2013 study, these two doctors, Dr. Prickle, Dr. Cirrus, found that procrastination can be understood as the primacy of short-term mood repair over the long-term pursuit of intended actions. Basically, procrastination is about being more focused on the immediate urgency of managing negative moods. So you feel like crap when you need to do this thing. You're more concerned with managing the crappy feeling than getting the thing done. This is simple egoic response. This is your ego saying, I don't wanna do it. I don't wanna, like you're a little kid. Get up and get ready for school. I don't wanna. Go clean the house. I don't wanna. Go put your toys away. I don't wanna. It's that. It's the same. It's the same part of us that feels that feeling of resistance. Okay, so the particular nature of our aversion depends on the task at hand. It might be due to something inherently unpleasant about the task itself. Taking out the garbage. How many guys out there? Your wives. Take out the garbage. Babe, take out the garbage. Baby, can you take out the garbage? Nothing. Procrastination. You walk by the garbage, you go on your phone, go in the fridge, get yourself something to drink, and your significant other is like, take out the garbage, right? But you're procrastinating. Because the task of it is nasty. It's bad smelly. You don't like to walk out. You have to drag the recycle thing to the front of your house if that's how you roll, or you have to go to a different part of your living place to put the recycles away. It's a pain in the ass. Nobody likes to do it, right? So the attitude, inherently unpleasant judgment of the task itself can be a reason for why you're putting it off. But it can also result from deeper feelings related to the task, such as self-doubt, low self-esteem, anxiety, or insecurity. Give you an example. You hate your job. You need to redo your LinkedIn. You need to redo your resume, and you put it off. And you sit in your job of crap that you hate, and you do nothing about getting out of it. And months and months and months go by, and you know you gotta go, but you won't take the action to go. Why? If I was your coach, I would say, what's the deeper rooted thing here regarding like self-esteem, self-worth, worthiness of a better opportunity? Like, who told you in your life when you were little that you didn't deserve certain things, or that you weren't worthy of something bigger? Was there ever a time in your life where you wanted to go for something more and some grown-up said you can't do that? Think back, and typically they'll come up with a memory and they'll be like, yeah, I remember I was like 8 years old, I was in school, I had to go to the chalkboard and do a math problem, and I froze and I couldn't remember it, and I felt like I could never go up in front of people. And every time I go up in front of people, I mess up, so I never want to go in front of people. Meanwhile, this is someone who has to lead a team and give a talk and present new business and PowerPoint presentations, and she's freaking out all the time. So once you handle the root of what kind of emotion is charged from way back, you could transform that. That's the work I help people do. And then you can start taking smaller steps to be like, oh, all right, this isn't no thing anymore. This isn't a big deal. Like, I can totally do this. And you'll stop procrastinating. So the example that they give in this article, it's staring at a blank document. You might be thinking, I'm not smart enough to write this. And if I am, what will people think of what I do? What will people think of the work I do? I know there are a lot of coaches out there, right, that they see my Facebook lives and they DM me and they're like, girl, like you put on a Facebook live, you're doing that shit for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, boom, no script, you're just doing your thing and you don't give a shit. Like, you're like, maybe you'll have wet hair like I do now. Maybe you'll have no makeup on. I did my makeup. Didn't do the hair, but I did the makeup. Too hot for the hair. Miami, horrible. But like, you got my drift, right? Like, I've come back from the gym, I'm doing a Facebook live, just whatever. And they're like amazed because they're like, I've been trying to do a Facebook live and do daily lives like you do because, you know, it gets people knowing my brand, it gets people knowing what I'm about, and they don't do it. So I was like, well, let's coach around that. Do you want to do a session about that? And they were like, totally. So I have had coaches reach out to me to do 1 hour, not 90 minute. I've coached two coaches about this particular thing, one particular thing about strengthening your game on social media when it regards Facebook lives. And it was an hour. And we got so much accomplished and we realized like what it was. It was a deep rooted belief, false belief, some bullshit that your ego keeps telling yourself about how it has to be perfect and you have to look great and otherwise people are going to judge you and they're going to think like, who the hell is this? And my family is going to see this and they're going to have shit to say about it. And it's handling the deeper thing, right? The deeper thing. And also reminding you that you're here to serve. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the people you're serving. It's about the message that you have. It's about the gift that the thing that you're doing. So when you make it about them and not you, you procrastinate less. So the concerns become, you know, what if I do a bad job? So I'm not even going to try, or I'm going to do it, but later. It's like you have to muster up. Now there's something that I call inspired aligned action. So this is very, very important. Sometimes you definitely have a task, know you need to do it, but procrastinate because you are not energetically aligned to execute on the task. That is completely fine, but you need to be aware of that because it's very different from talking shit to yourself because you're afraid to carry out the task versus, no, I'm going to do it. I'm definitely going to do it. Like I'm doing my Facebook Live. I'm doing my RFP. I'm doing all these things for my business tonight. But for me to be energetically aligned to do the work that I want to do from 6 p.m. until midnight tonight, I need to lay out in the sun and listen to music and read and chill. And that's the blessing in working the way I do. You know, a lot of people, they work very regimented hours, 9 to 6 or 9 to 5 or whatever. And, you know, people who are in that, I used to be in that. And I remember having to do tasks at work and always instinctively knowing that I need to schedule my day in such a way that these tasks that are heavier, a little more, will have to happen after lunchtime. So I want to knock out all my easy shit before lunchtime so that I'm feeling like, damn, I got stuff done. This is awesome. And then that meatier, bigger thing, I'm going to go have a nice meal. I remember I work in Manhattan. I was working on 42nd between 2nd and 3rd. Amazing shopping in that area. It was great. So what I would do is when I knew that I had like some calls to make, like I had to call like all these media people and like all afternoon. That would be like my whole afternoon. And emails and sending stuff out and any like writing that I had to do. I would make sure that I handled that in the afternoon after having a great meal. And I would definitely make sure I ate something great. I'd walk around, go into the stores. I'd go to Kenneth Cole. I'd go to like Banana. I'd go to H&M. They had like all by Fifth Avenue, Zara, all of it right there. And then I'd be like, okay, cool. let's go and let's knock out some work. And let me tell you, when I was energetically aligned and felt like, okay, now let's roll, I got more done in 2 hours than I would in the entire day. Why? Because I was energetically aligned. I was working from inspiration. I was into an alignment. I felt good. I felt good with me, and then I was able to do the task at hand. So please do not be awful to yourself when you are like, I have to do something, but you're not doing it in that exact moment. You could just be wanting inspired action. You could just be like, okay, I have to do this shit ton of laundry, but like, I'm not feeling it right now. Like, I'm not feeling it right now. I could do the laundry tonight at like 9. I'm going to do it later. I'll do it tonight. And that's just this simply like a simple acknowledgement of what you need, right? It's a task that you're like, I will feel better doing this task this time instead of this time. That's all that is. But procrastination is when you continuously put stuff off that needs to get done, and it's actually having a negative impact on your life and the lives of other people too. So, okay, this only compounds the negative associations, right? When you're talking shit to yourselves about procrastination, it only compounds the negative associations that you have to the task. And those feelings will be there whenever we come back to it, along with increased stress and anxiety, feelings of low self-esteem, and self-blame. So this is why it's super, super important to not shit talk yourself. If you're like, okay, there's a task and I'm not doing it, and I'm going to teach you, well, I'm going to show you like what I kind of do. I can't really get into it as deeply on the Facebook Live, but if it's something that interests you, I do inner child work around this type of stuff all the time. I do it on myself. I do it with my clients. It is awesome, and it handles it fast because you know that it isn't coming from you. It's not coming from your adult self who knows, hi, if I don't take out the garbage, my entire kitchen is going to reek of garlic and awful and whatever. You know this. But yet there's an inner version of you that is running the show and saying, I don't wanna. And that same version can show up at your job. It can show up when dating. You know, how many times are you on a dating app or you're out in the field and you see somebody that you want to talk to, but you procrastinate it. You don't take action on anything in your life, anything. It would be people watching this and being like, I really should like DM Lisa and like set up a call. I've been meaning to do this. And then you don't, right? This is just the exact same thing. It's like there's an inner little saboteur that gets in the way of anything that we want to do to better ourselves for growth, right? So we will procrastinate. We will procrastinate stuff and we'll blame it on stuff. We'll be like, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. And you'll make up bullshit stories because when you are full on 100% dead set on a result in your life, a better outcome in your life, wild horses, restraint cannot keep you from taking the action. You won't procrastinate. You will do it right then. There is a body of research. Again, this is from the New York Times article. You guys can find this article, New York Times. Just Google New York Times 2019 procrastination. Boom, comes this article that I'm commenting on. Okay. There is an entire body of research dedicated to the ruminative, self-blaming thoughts that many of us tend to have in the wake of procrastination, which are known as procrastinatory cognitions, or as I call it, the inner shit talker. The thoughts that we have about procrastination typically exasperate the distress and the stress that contribute to further procrastination. It's a cycle. It's a chain of pain. You procrastinate, you talk shit about the procrastination, you then identify as somebody who procrastinates. So now you're making it a reality. You're identifying with that part of you that isn't truly you. It's a version of you that you need to soothe and handle and heal, right? So now you're identifying with it, you're talking shit to yourself, and then it becomes a chain of pain, a cycle. Not good. The momentary relief that we feel when we procrastinate is actually what makes the cycle especially vicious. So we say, oh my God, there's a pile of laundry. Oh my God, there's a pile of dishes. Oh my God, I have to write this PowerPoint. Oh my God, I have to plan this whole thing for work for my Zoom call. And the Zoom call isn't until 5 p.m. Okay, so here it is 11 a.m. I really should do this thing and I don't want to. It's that. And then you say, oh my God, it's 1 o'clock. I have this thing to do. I haven't done it yet. I'm such a shit. I'm such a lazy piece of shit. Here I am online shopping. Oh my God, I went to the Amazon.com and I need to write this thing. And you start again because anxiety, but the soothing of that instant gratification of not doing the task that you need to do is the thing that creates the cycle even more and perpetuates it even more. Awful. So this is why it's like you've been rewarded for the procrastination because that little thing that you do relieves the stress and makes the chain of pain. This is precisely why procrastination tends not to be a one-off behavior, but a cycle, one that becomes a chronic habit, and it will ruin your life. It will ruin your life. I was talking to a woman texting earlier today about procrastination and how it has manifested itself in health issues. This is how serious this is. So whenever we are not truly connected to our truth, right, we end up in a state of dis-ease and we end up getting cancers. We have illnesses, chronic illnesses, pain, fibromyalgia, diabetes, things that are like chronic in nature. That you just can't explain. You're like, I was fine one moment and then this thing happened. And then you're like, wait, that was around the time that I had like the worst, most stressful job. And I never like did this thing that I wanted to do for my whole life. But I went ahead with what was safe and what was easy. And meanwhile, I had this nagging passion project that I wanted to do, but I procrastinated it and I never did it. So this is the thing. When we put stuff off that is truly speaking to our soul, right? The stuff that we really truly feel that we want to do. And when we procrastinate in our lives by doing a completely different job, that's a form of procrastination. If you want to form a business for yourself, but you shit talk yourself into believing that that business can never take off, that business will never happen, it's too hard, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I couldn't do it, so let me keep the cushy, let me keep what's safe and what's easy, that misalignment over years can absolutely manifest in illness, dis-ease. So, over time, chronic procrastination has not only productivity costs, but measurably destructive effects in our mental and physical health, which includes chronic stress, general psychological stress, low life satisfaction, symptoms of depression, anxiety, poor health behaviors, chronic illnesses, like I just said, hypertension, and cardiovascular disease. But I thought that we procrastinate to feel better. Well, it seems ironic that we procrastinate to avoid negative feelings, but end up feeling even worse. That's because it is. And once again, we have evolution to thank. Procrastination is a perfect example of present bias, our hardwired tendency to prioritize short-term needs ahead of long-term needs. So we're in it for the quick. What's the quick solution, the quick thing? Instead of saying, and this was the thing that I had to work with my client, he basically couldn't wrap his head around the things that he needed to do and why he wasn't doing them. And I said to him, what is your future version of you who is on the other side of this thing? How is that guy living? What is he doing? Where is he living? What is he doing? And he said to me, like he basically told me his whole dream. And I said, okay, so you need to anchor everything you're doing now to that version of you over there. That version of you already did it. That version of you over there is sitting there with this case handled that he was working on, the money that you get from it, the house that now you buy or able to build in the other town that you want to move to, with the woman that is, he's there with her. There he is. I see your future you. And there he is. You need to tap into your future version of you who is already, it's the dream realized, and work backwards. So that's when we start doing this really cool technique that I do with my clients, which is hanging out with your future self. It's using the future self, the future version of you who already has the money you want, the career you want, the whole thing, the woman, the man, whatever your deal is, has that life. And you sit there and you think on that and you write down, you journal, you do whatever, and you start asking your future self, what should I do in this situation right now? What would you do? Because I'm here, you're over there, and I want to close the gap between here and where you are. So tell me how. And you'll sit quietly with yourself and you'll journal, and you will get that inspired intuition, that thing inside that says, no, Lisa, you can't do the RFP. You can't write that whole thing yet. You're not ready for it. So why don't you go read the book that you're reading, that you're studying, and go lay in the sun and, listen to some cool music and get some reading done, get some sun, hang out, be on your own, and then take a nice shower. And then at like around, 5, you're going to do your Facebook Live. Then you're going to coach a client at 6. And then when you're done with that, you make a nice dinner for yourself. And then around 7 p.m., honey, from 7 to 9, you're going to bang out that RFP. It's going to be the best one you've ever written because you're going to be aligned. So future self work is awesome. I love that. My future self is so wise. She's a badass. She's like a multimillionaire, best-selling author, owner of a coaching empire. She's amazing. She influences millions of people all over the world. And I ask her sometimes, like, what do I do? Like, what should I do? And the wisdom that you get comes from within. So if this is resonating with you, there's so much more I can do on this, but I know it's a hot topic. A lot of people procrastinate. It's normal. And just please, please, please give yourself compassion. Be super nice to yourself and understand that it is not you doing it. It is a wounded, younger version of you, a different version of you from the past who may have had a trauma, who may have had something happen that conjures up memories and thoughts and beliefs that then step in and prevent you from executing on the task that you need to do. And it is solvable, and I help people with this all the time. So if this is something you want to work on for yourself, I'm offering this really fun 90-minute intensive where we go in, we handle it, that and whatever else is catching you up and tripping you up. And I give you some really cool tools and things that you can put in play and in action immediately. So you can reach out to me for more information on that. You can DM me if you're interested. I'll send you my booking link. And much love to you guys. Happy, where are we? Wednesday or Thursday? Today's Thursday. Thursday! Woo! Have a great one, guys. Much love. Bye.